Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, wherever you are tuning in. This is Safari Live, and we have got a male wildebeest rolling around in the dirt. We're coming to you from Djuma in the Sabi Sands. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined again by Senzo Mkize on the camera, and we are sitting with some wildebeest and some zebra just in front of us over here. And this is a marvelous start to the cool 16 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to be joined out on walk this morning by Taylor McCurdy, and then Wendy will be hosting Brent Leo Smith. He'll be out shortly, just having a difficulty with his vehicle. He'll be out soon, but we're on quarantine, the open area just south of camp, and there's at least 2-3 herds of zebra, a very resident herd of wildebeest, and the impala. Please send through your questions, hashtag Safari Live. Follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you'd like to see this morning. There are some guinea fowl alarm calling just off to the left here, folks. I'm going to quickly turn around. Guinea fowl in the morning can be quite reliable when it comes to alarm calls, and they're coming from just here. And indeed, what a start to the morning. Look at all these animals. We are surrounded by smells and sounds. You couldn't quite hear the wildebeest there, but they're making a little noise. These two young males are a little bit pushy. Just going to speak into the radio. Guinea fowl alarm calling in the middle of quarantine. I'm going to follow up. Just hear them over here. Okay, well, it seems like Taylor, who's on foot with Rexon this morning, is busy moving into the area here with the alarm calls. We're probably going to get there before her, but let's go have a look. Let's see what is happening. See what's out.
Good morning. I'm just we're waiting for a car to come past. I was actually going to hide and scare them, but I don't think it's going to work very well now. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and also walking around helping us find all the most amazing things, as you guessed it, Rexon. He's back with us. Herbie's gone on holiday for a well-deserved break. Now, we're just letting the cars move and go down that way. Now, they're probably not going to move. But once they do move away, we will go and investigate further. As Steve just mentioned, the guinea fowls are alarming. We've had impala snorting. Who's here? We know that Hosanna was moving around a house in this area. Do you think so? Well, they're moving around here. We're not sure where we're going to go just yet. Like I said, we're just going to wait for the cars to move out of the way before we, decide what we're actually going to do. But they are slowly moving on. And I think we're going to try and find leopards this morning on Bushwalk. That's probably going to be where we start. And if the day warms up because it's very chilly, then perhaps we'll also maybe find some insects and things to have a look at. They're very unhappy, though. I think something has definitely disturbed them. I couldn't imagine a raptor would be flying around this early in the morning. I don't think they would have gone up and warmed themselves up on a perch or from a perch just yet. I reckon their feathers would have been a little bit on the damp side. Now, there are a few impala snorting, but I think it's the impala ram that's just over here. He seems to be looking out. Perhaps he's spotted another impala ram that is wanting to try and come in and steal his ladies away from him. That's also a possibility. He's now chasing them. Yeah, he's a very bossy pants. I don't know if you can see him, Seb. He's just around behind that tree up top to that main termite. He's just to the left of that termite mound. It's a very misty morning. I can see him snorting, but he's not really looking in one direction. He's looking all the way around. He's basically just announcing to everybody that he is here. There he goes. Now he'll trot off. Look how tense his muscles are. Right, we're going to go and walk into the lovely long wet grass to see if we can find what has ruffled the guinea fowl's feathers. I saw Steve just a little way away. Let's go and see if he is also going to move into the area.
Yes, they have ruffled their feathers. They're inside this camp actually on the right, it seems. Brent heard some alarm calls earlier of the impala, where the guinea fowl are just here. Here we go. Here they are in front of us. Alex, yes, there is a male leopard by the name of Quarantine. I've yet to make his acquaintance. I think he did occur around here at one stage. The guinea fowl are alarming, and the impala are looking in this direction. But I don't quite know where they're looking at. I can see the bushwalk team just in the distance over there. This guinea fowl are being very naughty. Maybe whatever it is walk down that way, Senzi. Gotta do a little duck down the side here, this little access past Vuyatela Lodge, and see what they are looking at. The impala definitely seem a little flustered. What a start that would be in the morning. Impeccable Rexon is out with Taylor, so if they do come across any tracks, I have no doubt they'll be able to follow. The guinea fowl came up this little side road here. Don't see any tracks of anything dangerous. There's the guinea fowl again in the road. So there's nothing really stopping a predator, cat, lion or leopard from walking straight through our camp. And Vuyatela Dam is just down there. But these guinea fowl at the back here are looking a lot more relaxed than their counterparts up there on the open area. Hyena tracks. Maybe it's still quite early in the morning and they're a bit confused, but they are a very reliable indicator in the early morning, I feel. Lioness, that is a good question. I've never had the guinea fowl alarm at us like that. They'll move away from us, but they'll never alarm like that. That's a very particular. Look who we've got here. Good afternoon, good morning. Dr. Livingston, I presume. Oh, she just let me down, eh?
Queen waving.
She queen waving. Hey, Rex. Welcome back, eh? I don't know what those guinea fowl are looking at, eh? I didn't see any tracks coming down this way, though. There's something in this little block here, eh? But we'll have another look. Nice one, guys. Have a beautiful morning.
We'll go all the way through.
Okay, keep us posted. Have a good one. Cheers, cheers, eh? There we go. They're out. Nice day to be walking. It's not that warm. Okay, well, it looks like Brent has finally got himself out, so let's go over to him for an update.
Well, good morning, and thanks to Jared for fixing our aerial. My name is Brent Smith. I have just a dish on camera, and like everyone else, I'm starting my morning looking for leopard. I'm going to head down towards... Oh, isn't that actually, before we go anywhere, isn't that absolutely gorgeous this morning? I'm going to stop so Dave doesn't give you a skew horizon. Come on, David. It's straight. Sorry, that was me on purpose to try catch David out there. But isn't that absolutely gorgeous? The mist in all the low-lying areas and the orangey pink hue of the sunrise starting to rise. Okay. It's my favorite time of the day, and I'm going to find a leopard. I've decided that's what we're going to do today. So there's been quite a lot of alarm calls in and around quarantine since about 45 minutes ago, but it seems like Steve's got this area covered, so I'm going to move out of the area and head down towards the eastern sections, which is my favorite parts of Djuma, down towards the east, and see if I can find any sign of Tandy and Tlalamba or Tingana or whoever might be knocking about those areas. Who knows, we might even get some wild dogs, fingers crossed. Lots of hyena in the lodge here last night, so I'm certain probably all the shouting and alarm calls could very well easily be for him. Our little bachelor group of impala look very relaxed, and no sign of them looking particularly perturbed about anything. There we go, you can see it in there. Oh, maybe a little bit of focus there, but nothing too serious. Now, this is the little group of boys with no girlfriends. So, yes, Rebecca, one individual male will try to group as many females as possible into a little harem during the rutting season. And that's where you get these little groups of males all by themselves. Now, that male in charge of the females is in constant flux. So he'll run around mating, chasing, fighting, and he gets so focused on that he loses condition. And when he loses condition, he gets ousted by another male, and when he is ousted by the other male, he comes and joins one of these little bachelor groups, and then the same will take place as the one who's been ousted recovers, and hopefully for his sake is able to challenge again, but it's a constant change of males at the top. Okay, now I just want to have one quick look up here with my binoculars, but while we do that, let's go across to Steve, who's not too far away from me, still searching for what's making all the animals alarm.
Who indeed? The guinea fowl have stopped their alarm call. One flew off as if the devil himself was on his tail. And now these impala are kind of all looking in that direction, but we've done a big loop there. There's nothing. I wonder what's going on this morning. I mean, those of you who were on walk with myself and David last night, you would have noticed how confused we were at finding that leopard eventually. Cheeky birds on the ground. I find francolins and spurfowls and guinea fowls, who are ground nesting birds, very reliable indicators of leopards, because they are actually prey to them. So they do fall prey to them. They're a decent sized sort of meal for a leopard, and small predators in the name of leopards, caracal and serval, have actually evolved to hunt them as a food source. So when they see them, they call them out very, very quickly. I'm not saying that smaller birds don't alarm, but they're not in as much danger as your larger sort of galliform type, partridge type of birds. But the impala are looking all over the place. These guinea fowl have all sort of chilled out again. Maybe there was a residual smell in the air of a leopard. We've got Rexon and Taylor heading down that way, so we'll carry on and go around again and see if there's any more sort of sign or sounds from these impala. No doubt Hosana moved through here at some point. I did see one of the lodge vehicles head down towards Vuyatela Dam with a tracker, so good chance if they do find some tracks, they'll let us know. But it is a beautiful, beautiful morning. Nice and crisp. LD, leopards have got a very interesting sort of strategy, or should I say, you want to know if they have more success during the rutting season. And the reality of it is that you get different peaks in the impala mortalities. So when the females are fully pregnant, sort of October through to early November, females are fully pregnant. They are struggling. If it's a drought, then they're much easier to catch. Sort of November, December, January, there's lots of babies around. They're easy to catch. And then the next month, 2 months, are when the male impala are just losing their minds a little bit, and then they're a bit easier to catch. So the leopards have got, throughout the year, they've got a different abundance of food, and they'll catch whatever they can. And male impala, because they're physically competing, they lose condition, they're not paying attention, and they're a little bit easier to catch as well because of the fitness that they lose, and also because they get injured during fighting. And it's quite interesting when you find them, they completely don't care about anything other than fighting the other males and mating. So this time of year you do see an increase in the mortalities of impala male versus female, but it's a good balance, because if you only had one sex being selected throughout the year, then you get a very skewed sort of sex ratio. Okay, well, let's go over to Brent and see if he managed to spot anything with his binoculars.
No, we didn't. I just wanted to see what that one impala was staring at, and it was, of course, at this time of the year, what it most often is, another impala. So another male impala. So we've left the area. We're going to keep heading towards the rising sun and see what wonders await in the eastern sections of Djuma. We might take a little trundle across to Chitwa if we have no luck in this area. Oof, it is nippy this morning. Good thing I got a new jersey last week, nice and thick, before winter arrives. Now, someone who is going to be a little bit wet, cold and sticky this morning is Taylor McCurdy in the wet grass.
I am, sorry. Oh, I thought it was a wildebeest alarming. It's not, it's an impala with a bit of a cough. Are you going to be okay? Do you need a pat on the back? I don't know. It was a weird sound. Listen, if it was doing an impression of a wildebeest, it definitely got that round. Really? Okay. Right. Now, obviously, first things first with a morning bushwalk, the chances of us finding any insects, as you know, are, well, slim to none. So what we're obviously going to try and do is try and pick up on some tracks of Hosanna. We know he was moving around this area. Hosanna, of course, is a young male leopard that should have dispersed but hasn't, has decided to stick around and tiptoe in between some of the bigger territorial leopards. Hosanna's not quite soaring just yet. I think he knows that he'd be a bit cheeky if he were to dare try and do anything like that, but he does scent mark. Look how beautiful that is with the Egyptian geese. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Now, they've been flying round and round and round. Egyptian geese do tend to make a bit of a noise when they fly around. They're very vocal birds, exceptionally territorial too. You can also just start to hear the blacksmith lapwings chatting away, so we'll avoid them. We're not covered in spider webs. But I didn't even walk through a tree. Where on earth were those spiders and their webs? Whew. Okay, right, let's go. Yes, my favourite. My absolute favourite. I'm going to be drenched now. Soggy feet, here we come, soggy pants. Kidding. Rebecca's now concerned about me. She's directing. She says she's worried about sinking sand. I don't think there's any sinking sand in South Africa. However, after watching a movie, I then Googled how do you get yourself out of sinking sand, and no one wants to believe me in camp, but apparently you're supposed to not kick and flail about. You're supposed to try and get on your back. Like that. Like if you're on a swimming pool, floating. And then grab something and pull yourself out. Well, that's what they say on the interweb anyway. I've never been in sinking sand. And, well, I hope to never come across something like that either. But anyways, if anyone's going to find it, it'll probably be me. Me trying to jump over it. Right. Now, something that is quite easy to find that Steve has managed to get a view of is the sunrise.
Yes, we do. We have got the rising sun. Got the rising sun emerging from the horizon in the east. We have moved just a little bit further on from where we were. No more sounds in the African morning. Just having a quick little look for any tracks. But nothing as of yet. I have a strong feeling that whatever it is that has spooked all those animals is probably around still. And if so, it's probably moving. It's nice and cool this morning, as said before. There's a good chance whatever it is that spooked those animals has probably moved off. It's why they've started calming down. So we need to do just larger concentric circles in and around the area. Sorry, I'm just climbing back on the car. I apologize for that bump there, Senzi. Isn't that a glorious morning? It never gets old, the sunrise. Sound of a bearded woodpecker tapping in the background. That was me. Joined by another vehicle who I think is also trying to enjoy the sunrise. It's definitely that time of year. I can see the beanies are on and the gloves. And they are very loud for such an early morning. Lioness, all animals who spot dangerous animals will alarm call. I'm just hearing the guinea fowl again. I think that's coming from behind me, eh? Sorry, Senzi. Sorry. So, impala, kudu, nyala, they will all alarm call, depending on obviously what they see. Guinea fowl generally will be up in a tree and will go to sleep. But if a leopard tries to get them out of that tree, then they will make a lot of noise. But if they don't get seen by the leopard, they'll just keep very quiet. Very, very quiet. Here's some spur fowls. Just going to switch off again for a moment and see if I can find where I heard those guinea fowl. You might hear a vehicle bypassing us now. Good morning, good morning. I'm Shane, morning. Hey, Sens, I'm sure I heard them coming from here, eh? The guinea fowl. It's difficult sometimes with my earpiece to get a correct judgment of the angle or the direction of an alarm call. But to go on to the alarm calls as well, monkeys don't normally alarm at night. Or baboons, unless they get spotted, unless there's a leopard trying to climb up the tree that they're in. They generally remain pretty quiet, but it doesn't mean that they don't get taken at night. And if a leopard does try to go up a tree with a baboon or a vervet monkey, they will go a little bit crazy. But it's this time of day when the animals are able to see, or the early evening, when the alarm calls are at their most sort of prominent and obvious as well. That's why it's a very good time of day to just switch off from time to time, to just listen to the cacophony of sounds as the morning dawn chorus of the birds erupts, listening for that snort of the zebra, the cackle of the guinea fowl, even the soaring of the leopard itself as it marks its territory. But I don't hear anything. It's gotten very, very quiet. So let's continue on, see what it is we might be able to find. It's my favorite part of the day. This early morning. The slate is swept clean and anything can be happening. Movement of animals around. That vehicle that passed us now just went that way. So I'm quite confident they will see whatever they might have seen. They'll be able to let us know. But it appears that Taylor's found an animal I was just talking about. Let's go over to her.
And so relaxed, which is fantastic. It's a troop of vervet monkeys that have been roosting above the rooms of Vuyatela Lodge on Djuma Private Game Reserve, and they're now feeding on leaves or pods or flowers or something. Pods maybe. Yum, delicious. You can have all of them. I don't want any of those. I just want fruit. Anyways, now if there was a leopard here, they definitely would have been alarming at them. We would have heard that. I think he knows that that's a fake call. Well, I can't tell you if it's a male or female from here, as it's quite difficult to see. And that was me making that noise, by the way. And there's a whole lot of them. They're all feeding in and amongst these trees. There's lots of fruit at the moment, so any buffalo thorns that are intertwining in some of these taller trees will have fruit. Lots of guarri trees around here. They don't mind growing on a drainage line. And that's why these monkeys have been hanging around. It's not necessarily that they've just strictly been after, well, the delicious treats that we keep inside. Look at that stretching right up. Look how amazing how nimble they are. But when trees do bear pods like this, and any sweet little leaves, we're going to eat them. I'm just trying to see what tree it actually is and use my binoculars. I don't know if it's, I can't see any thorns. Were there thorns? Can you see thorns, Seb? I wonder, I don't actually know what they're feeding on at the moment. A bit difficult to even see the base of the tree to have a proper look at it. It's not an obthorn though. Maybe a black monkey orange or something? Something like that. Anyways, so they're up here just nibbling away, and I reckon whoever is sleeping in our camp will hear them in the next 35 to 40 minutes, because they're just going to warm themselves up in the sun. The sun is slowly sort of finding its way onto some of the trees. Look, there's a couple of them. See, there's like another little one over there that's in the sunlight now. So you'll probably find that the entire troop will move over to that area where it is nice and warm after a very, very chilly evening. They're moving quite quickly. Now, obviously we've seen how amazing and nimble these little monkeys are, jumping from tree to tree, grabbing on the smallest of small branches and pulling themselves over. So, yes, a love app. A leopard could quite easily catch a monkey in a tree, even though monkeys, I suppose the monkeys have the upper hand there because they're smaller, they can leap a little bit better, whereas a leopard is quite big. But you can actually Google or put it onto YouTube, leopard versus monkey in tree, something along those lines. And I'm telling you right now, you'll find some video footage of leopards chasing monkeys. Remember, when leopards are young and are learning to hunt, the first things that they start hunting are squirrels. And, well, squirrels as a defense will run up a tree. A young leopard cub is not afraid to try and follow it up the tree. They fall out of them most of the time, but they quickly learn where they can't put their feet. So it's kind of like when you go on those hectic trail runs, or if you do the safari parkour like we were doing up in Kenya, where we were rock hopping. So now they're alarming at us, the big monkey. Let me just check that Hosanna hasn't snuck up behind us somewhere. So basically, their mind is going to have to work very, very quickly. We're trying to work out where they need to put their feet. That's the most amazing, most rewarding exercise I find, because not only are you stimulating everybody in your muscle, but it's very stimulating for your mind. And that's something that I kind of enjoy, is keeping my mind busy. Going on a long run on the airstrip, I couldn't think of anything more boring. But to go on the same kind of run where you have to jump from rock to rock and think on your feet, is something that the leopards and these monkeys will have to do. But this monkey's definitely shouting at us. That looked like the big male. I'm shouting back at him now. He's now looking at Rexon and shouting at Rexon. See how he's showing his teeth? Trying to intimidate Rexon. And that's what they'll do. Baboons will do it too, and then they'll bounce up and down on the branches, trying to make themselves look big and scary. Now, I promise you, even though this is just a vervet monkey, and ask my brother, who was chased by one. Oh, I apologize. It seems that there's a little bit of breakup every now and then. Sorry about that. Hopefully you got the gist of what I was talking about. Again. Why are you shouting at us? I don't know what your problem is. You see us in camp all the time. Shout for a leopard. Now you're telling stories. So please tell Brent and Steve not to come racing over here, Rebecca, because he is just shouting at us. You can see he's clearly looking at us. Very, very cheeky. And also I bet James is going to go running into final control, going, there's vervet monkeys. There's vervet monkeys alarming north of me. Let's see if that rings true. Anyways, Steve is on a tracking mission, and I suppose we should get on one too, seeing as though we have leopard tracks, but off you go. Back to him.
Monkeys. I've never heard monkeys alarm call to people. Are you sure there's no leopard there, Taylor? I would have a little check if I were you. It's possible that whatever animal it was that we thought we might have heard animals alarming from is still in that area. We've done another big concentric circle loop. We're now sort of more to the west, checking the road up to our northern boundary with Buffelshoek. And then we'll do a little bit of a border patrol, see if anything's coming from the north. It would be nice if those evoker males decided to pop in. I've yet to see them. And bodes for some interesting entertainment in the coming weeks if the Birminghams hear them and their calling and their claim to this territory. Will they come back in force and fight them? Male lions fighting is probably one of the most awesome things to behold. I've seen two male lions, one running from about 200 meters directly towards this guy, and then just clash of the titans. Needless to say, the guests on the back tried to take some photos, but they were absolutely terrified. It is quite a terrifying feeling when you see male lions having a go, because they seem to have no regard for anything. Snazzy, most certainly lions will eat a fetus inside an animal they kill. I've seen lions take the intestines and squeeze out the rumen content inside, or the stomach content, and then eat the intestine. I've seen them eat the stomach as well. Sometimes they leave the stomach. It really depends on what the dynamics are. When I've had a lioness or two lionesses with a few cubs, they've basically removed the stomach and left it on the side. But when you have a pride of 10, 15 lions and they eat all of that. They don't even think about it. They don't even think about it. They just ingest everything that they can. The competition to eat all that food is tremendous, so they're not too picky about stomach content. Leopards, we've noticed, often leave that alone, but they're on their own, so they're not competing with someone or something for that food. And those of you who witnessed Tamba, that young male leopard, about a month and a half ago now, probably 2 months, he managed to kill or come across a pregnant kudu, and he definitely enjoyed that fetus that he managed to pull out of her tummy. So it does happen. It does happen. It's part of the circle of life, and that's why I was saying now that when the female impala are pregnant, heavily pregnant, they get a little bit slower, and if the conditions have been quite poor, they'll lose condition and they'll get quite thin and weak. And leopards, lions, cheetah, they thoroughly enjoy a pregnant impala. It's a 2-for-1 sort of meal. And the reality behind that is that drought has the ability to sort of reduce the population and also eliminate the weak. And the predators always capitalize on the weak individuals. And if she's strong enough to survive, then by all rights, that genetic pool of hers moves forward to the next generation. Survival of the fittest, those able to adapt and conform, move forward. Okay, so Brent's on his way to the east. We're on our way in the west. Let's go over to Brent and see how he's doing.
Well, we're on the far eastern boundary already, and I'm just making sure that the lovely Tandy hasn't crossed out, and maybe the evokers have come back in. This is an area that they do enter Djuma from. So far, we've got some elephant tracks from last night going into Torchwood, and lots of little tracks, scorpions and white-tailed mongoose and the like. Yes and no, Carol. Hukamori is still in the area, as in the northern Sabi Sands, but he crossed out of Djuma yesterday onto Sibambili. Okay, this is a very important spot to check very carefully. It is a spot that Tandy utilizes frequently to come up and down. Quickly across to Taylor.
Look how cool this is. We're having the most amazing morning. Sort of something a little bit different for a change. We've got a couple of green woodhoopoes bouncing around in this marula tree, using their very, very, very long bills to probe into any holes that maybe boring beetles have created, if there are any termites that have infested it, any other kind of larvae, anything that they can sort of find in between the bark. But it is just stunning. See, there's another one here. If you just take a couple of steps to my left. Oh, there, they're flying now. Oh, they've just moved. But they're still bouncing around on the trees at the back. And I'm just whispering because there is a beautiful bird party all around here. Now, earlier I was talking about black monkey orange. I don't know why I said black monkey orange. I meant to say black monkey thorn, which looks very, very similar to the knob thorn, but it doesn't have any thorns on it at all. Well, not any big ones, but big hook thorns. And this is the most incredible spot. And if you were to come and stay at Djuma, it's Wavuyatela. It's absolutely beautiful. If you didn't go on a morning safari, I don't think you would be missing out. Because, well, it is just absolutely stunning here. Come and have a look. I want to show you what I'd be doing first thing in the morning. I want to move around Djuma. See that room over there? I'd be sitting out on one of those deck chairs, as you can see. I'd have a nice cup of coffee that James wouldn't have prepared for me because we know he doesn't stir his coffee before he plunges it. If you were watching the sunrise safari. Or perhaps, the other thing that I may be doing, Sebastian, is perhaps having a shower out over there. Can you imagine? Luckily, everybody is on safari, so I know no one's going to come is not going to come walking out in their robe, otherwise it would be very embarrassing. But I do know that everyone is out on safari this morning. But isn't that incredible? So having an outdoor shower, watching, listening to the birds, maybe having maybe a leopard or a herd of elephants passing through. Seb, I know I'm bossing you. If you turn to your left on this dead tree directly towards us, there is a crested barbet. You see it just sitting there. Someone else has joined us. So it's just amazing how comfortable wildlife can be when they know that you're not a threat. Now, this bird is very relaxed with us. I think it's too frozen to even worry about it. Just bouncing around. Also, I think everybody's going to be chasing the sun now, trying to find nice spots. Off it goes. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I know Steve said earlier he's never heard of monkeys alarming at people. I've had it a couple of times where the big male of a troop is basically just, he's gone and he said, I know that you're there, don't try and come near my troop because you're going to be in trouble. And like I was saying to you, even a vervet monkey that if it were to stand up on its hind legs would probably only stand about this tall. Not particularly big either, but they're exceptionally savage. They've got really big canines, and if they want to, they can hurt you. And I've told the story before about how my mom said to my brother when we were living on a stud farm, and she said to him, don't walk into the house with your lunchbox in your hand, because we'd come from school. And do you think he listened? No, because children never listen to their parents at that age. I don't know how old we were. Must have been like 8 or 9 or something. Well, he was. I was a little bit older. And tried to go in, and this big male came through and basically stood in front of him like this, made himself look all big, and went and shouted at my brother. Brother froze, absolutely terrified, and this thing grabbed the lunchbox straight out of his hand and then ran up to the top of a tree. So, got to be careful. even of just the vervet monkeys. You don't want to get into trouble with them. Now, you may have seen that I'm clutching onto a little flower. Isn't that pretty? It's a little jasmine of sorts, creeping along another tree, and I had to pick it. Would you like to have a smell? Everybody, breathe in deeply. Delicious. You'll just all have to guess what jasmine smells like if you've never smelled it before. Amazing. I think it's delicious. I'm not going to eat it. I don't think you could eat these flowers. I think it would probably burn your tongue a little bit. Anyways, we're actually going to catch up to Rex now because he wants to find a leopard. I keep getting distracted by all sorts of wonderful things. Brent is on a bumble hoping to bump into a leopard.
Well, we've now done half of Cheetah Cut Line without a track of anything substantial. And I just heard now from Taxon and Aubrey they found tracks of the Nkahuma Pride. And they did a dirty yet again. They waltzed through the centre of Djuma and out down south. So, unfortunately, with the evokers around and making noise and the Birminghams not being around, our lion prides are going to be almost semi-nomadic, moving into areas that they haven't been, well, they're not regularly seen in, they don't frequent often, and all to avoid those evoker boys. Okay, we're going to head straight towards Quarry Pan. Now, it's an interesting thing from Kristen saying, why would lions fight for this area when we very rarely see lionesses? Kristen, it's also very much to do with the time of the year and the buffalo movements. So I remember 2 years ago, I think we saw lions every day for 4 months, 5 months, lionesses that is. And it was after the Birmingham Coalition takeover. Now, Pride of Lions, like the Nkahumas, normally has a core home range of about 5,000 hectares, so just over 10,000 acres. And we have a traverse of about 3,500 acres. So the reason we don't see them every day is because although we are part of their core range, and at times of the year, especially in the dry months and the winter months, we see lions a lot, lionesses. And not only that, in this northern section there are 3 different prides of females that are seen regularly, or 4 actually if you count the Talamatis. The Talamati, the Torchwood, the Nkahuma, and the Styx. Now, for the last 2 years or so, it's been Birmingham country. But now, with the Majingalans moving on to the next plane, and the Matimbas also not very well, there's about 5 or 6 prides of lions in the centre and the west of the Sabi Sands that have been left maleless. There's a couple of young males from the Ottawa Pride. So for the Birminghams, it's much easier to go take over 6 prides with almost no fight, and maybe still keep possibly the Styx Pride because they're on the peripheries there to the south. But there's northern prides, Talamati, Nkahuma, and Torchwood Pride are pretty much up for grabs at the moment. So the evoker males are young males, and for males of 5 years old to be able to take over an area that has 3 prides in it is there's always a possibility the Birminghams will come back and fight, but it's becoming less and less likely. If they can take over an area, kill all the Birmingham's offspring that are under 3 years old, they are seriously winning at life, because normally they'd have to have a big fight like the Birminghams did with the Matimbas. So there is still competition for this area. Now, the lion density up here is pretty high, but as I say, a male lion coalition, they like about 8 to 10,000 hectares, so over 20,000 acres with multiple prides in it. So that's about the size. Let me just work this out quickly. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. I mean, just the northern sections, Djuma, Buffelshoek, Torchwood, you're looking at just under 8,000 hectares, so 17,000 acres. So perfect almost sized for a new coalition to take over, with 3 different prides, and all those prides have lots of females, 5 to 6 females in all those prides. So it is a prime spot, especially if you're a young coalition moving into an area and there's not too many big boys stopping your progress. Okay. So up in the tree there, Dov, in the beautiful light, you have some helmet shrikes. Oh, they are gorgeous when you catch them in the light. Oh, you caught something. So they eat quite a lot of caterpillars, spiders. Oh, off it goes. Oh, we got a golden oriole, a black-headed oriole. It's going to stop. No, it's not. It kept flying. So I didn't hear who asked that question about the Mapokos, Bex. Love App would like to know, why did the Mapokos seem more aggressive? They weren't. They just came into the Sabi Sands over an area that had been very, very stable, and they had quite a few big male lions to contend with. So there was a lot more fighting. Who did they fight with? The Shaw's male, Coston male, Shaw's males, Coston males. I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago when I was watching all that happen. So one of the reasons the Mapoko really sort of rose to fame was because of one of the male lions called, what are they called, Mr. T, although we knew him as Satan, and that's because he killed a lioness, mated with her corpse, and then ate her. So that sort of spread the word of the Mapoko far and wide. And when they first arrived, they were a coalition of 6 males. So even by this area, which has a lot of big coalitions, it was a big coalition of males. And 4, 5, 3, all pretty normal, but 6, over 6 males is not. So there was a lot of fighting amongst each other as well for mating rights and that. I don't think they were more aggressive than any other lions. They just happened to come through at a time where the lion dynamics had been stable for about 3 or 4 years. So everything just seemed a lot more brutal because there hadn't been takeovers and movement for quite some time. Now, the first time I saw the Mapokos, they were probably not even 4. I was at Singita, and I just had dinner, and I was walking back to my room, and in the road in front of me, 6 male lions, little ones, but 6 male lions staring at you. Quite intimidating. Now, I'm not sure what happened to the 6th. By the time they really came, he sort of just disappeared, probably in one of those battles they had. There's lots of theories about where the Mapokos came from. I know Londolozi thinks they came from the Ifield or Sparta Pride. I don't think so. I think the timeline was wrong and the ID was wrong for those males. I think they probably came from Kruger or Magnoletti, but they were an impressive group of male lions. I mean, they used to smash hippo and buffalo and regularly. But I don't think they were more aggressive than any other male coalition when they take over. If you look at the Birminghams killed 2 or 3 adult Inkahumas and a sub-adult. They killed a whole bunch of Styx cubs. We actually saw them playing with a Styx cub. So I just think it happened to be the time frame after a long period of stability, a lot of aggression in a short time. As they got older, they weren't so aggressive. Anyway, let's go back to Steve, to see if he's still looking for leopards.
We are still looking. We found some relatively old tracks and some scat of a leopard up on the northern boundary, and not worth following. It's a few days old at least. And I remember the Mapokos when I spent some time at Singita Sabi Sands, and they were a hideous looking bunch of lions. They were dirty and scarred and black maned, and I remember they used to actually kill female lions and eat them. I mean, that just to me is very strange, but they are historically a very, very what's the word, well-known coalition. And I don't know what eventually ended their demise. I think it might have been the Birmingham boys, I forget, but they were around for a long time. I remember once finding one Mapocho male on a buffalo kill, and there was about 30 hyena trying to come in. And no, they didn't get near him. They were keen, but I think the size of him and the noise he was making made them very wary of trying to cross his path, because they would kill anything that they came across. So very, very notorious bunch of males. I think they eventually just got really old, but they had an amazingly dark black mane. They were quite something to see. And when they'd called together, wow, that was something to behold. So we've done a big loop. We're heading back down now again towards Vuyatela Dam. I was listening on the radio, and it appears that the Unkuhuma Pride had come in last night and has already gone straight out the bottom to Little Gowrie. So that's what the other vehicle was tracking. Whether or not those are the reasons for the animal alarm calling is hard to say, because they seem to have covered quite a big distance in a short period of time. Maybe just the residual smell of them moving through. I've yet to come across the track of them, so I don't know where they came from. But we will continue on with our never-ending quest to find and show you some beautiful cats. There goes a little raptor. What's that? Oh wow! It's a melanistic goshawk. He's just behind there. I don't know if you can get him, Sens. I think I need to go forward. Melanistic meaning a black form of a small goshawk, most likely a gabar. Just see him in the crook of the tree there, Sens. Can you see him? To the left. There he is, yeah. Melanistic, it is a natural sort of phenomenon in the genetics of these birds. You every now and again get a completely black morph. And I'm guessing it was a gabar goshawk. But it's hard to tell from this angle. Okay, well it seems Brent has got a better visual of a bird. Let's go over to him and his bird of prey.
Well, the African hawk eagles have moved nesting spots, not far, but this is a new nest. This is not where they nested, well, the last time I saw them nesting, which is about 2 years ago. You can see that big, untidy platform with thorny sticks. And I think you can see there's a buffalo weaver nest to the right. I think they've built their platform on top of an old buffalo, or, well, it doesn't have to be old. If you're a hawk eagle, you just move in and the buffalo weavers move out. So it's actually in a much better spot for us to keep an eye on the nest as well. We saw the second one fly off, so they are both here. I'm definitely going to be keeping a very close eye on the nest. They are my favorite eagle that we see regularly here. They are absolutely magnificent birds. And if you're a guinea fowl Franklin, death from above. Now, quite often with your completely monogamous bird, or eagle species in particular, African hawk eagles, crowned eagles, black eagles, what they will do is one will distract their prey by flying quite visibly up in the air, and you'll have all the guinea fowls going ta, 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 and the other will come in low from below the tree line and smash one. I was on quarantine once when I saw them flatten a guinea fowl. It was incredible how quickly they can descend and swoop down. Now this is definitely a story we can follow. Now, Wisteria says, what a well-built nest. Well, generally, most of the raptors' nests are literally just big piles of sticks. They just collect and pile and pile and pile. Now, of course, the little core section right in the middle there will be lined with feathers and and will be quite soft. But the reason they make it so thorny and big and whatnot is to try stop things like snakes being able to easily access, and monitor lizards are another great eater of eagles' eggs. So that's why they build this massive, thorny nest. Hello. Now, to tell the difference between the sexes of hawk eagles is very difficult. The female is slightly larger, so we'd have to see them sitting right next to each other to tell. Now, they will both incubate the eggs, and they will both provide for the chicks once they are born. Now, as with most raptors, it's normally 2 eggs are laid, and Cain and Abel syndrome takes place. So infanticide. So the first out of the egg will almost certainly kill and eat the second born. Now, in endangered species, or threatened species, what quite often happens is BirdLife South Africa will actually take a single egg from the nest, and then they will rear that individual and release it in areas where the numbers aren't too high. But African hawk eagles are not threatened at all. They are still very, very healthy in South Africa, or their population at least. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to be checking on this nest almost every day now that I know where the new nest is. That's wonderful. Isn't that exciting? Yay! But also, now we know where the nest is, you've got to be very careful of squirrel alarm calls in the area. Okay. I still have not seen one fresh leopard track today, and we've done quite a bit of distance, so I'm hoping our luck changes as we head towards the south. In the meantime, let's see where Steve's off to next.
I'm not far from the dam, Brent, Vuyatela Dam, and we did have another look at that bird, but it did disappear, and I'll show you a quick photo. It was indeed the melanistic form. Here we go. Here's the melanistic form of the Gabar goshawk. Got that little bit of the barring on the tail underneath, but very dark. Shoplifter melanistic is not the opposite of albino. Albino means no pigment. You get another term out here called altruism, when a bird becomes very white. There's still pigment in the eye and in the body itself, but in the feathers they lack that melanin. So melanistic is derived from the increase in melanin, and that also helps to make the melanin is in all feathers, most of them anyway, and altruism means a lack of melanin. It doesn't mean that there's no pigment, just lack of melanin. And melanin is designed in the feathers to make them very strong and very hardy. And birds that have got lots of melanin, they don't need to shed their feathers as much. So there are benefits to both. Male, often you'll find sometimes the male or the female will be the dark one or the pale one, and they've got a different camouflage when it comes to hunting. So they might be able to hunt in different conditions to their partner, and so it benefits them both ways. But it is just sort of a trait in the population. We've seen the altruism coming through, or the pale morph coming through with the Wahlberg eagle. We see it also with the tawny eagles. I've never seen a dark form of them. You do get the dark form Wahlbergs, but they're just more of a brown color. But it is just a genetic sort of variation in plumage. So albino is no pigment at all, and very sensitive to the sun, whereas melanin assists in sun protection. That's why when you generally find people from sort of more central Africa, India, their skin's a lot darker because of evolutionary adaptation to protect them against the sun, whereas those Europeans from far up in the north, the Bonnies from Scotland, burn very, very, very harshly in the sun because they lack the melanin that will protect them against that. Okay, so as Brent has said also, we've done a huge loop and yet to find a fresh leopard or lion track. So we're going to be leaving our tracking soon and going on to more wonderful things, which include more birds, trees, and a grass or two, maybe a wildflower. Well, someone who's on foot with their nose to the ground looking at tracks, Taylor McCurdy. Let's go see how her search is getting along.
Well, Steve, that's exactly what we're doing now. We are on a road, as you can obviously see. We're on Central. Now, as we know, Central seems to be a highway, a very popular highway with a lot of different animals. I mean, straight off of the bat, I can see from yesterday, look at all the elephant tracks here. There was a herd of elephants that had moved through this area, all going this way, which is really, really nice to see. Here's a youngster's foot. Not a particularly old one. I mean, you can see in comparison to the size of my hand, this is probably an elephant of maybe, I don't know, between 5 and 8 years old, somewhere around there. It's not massive. Let's see who else we can find that has been walking around here through the night. I did see some white-tailed mongoose tracks just a moment ago, but they could have scurried off into the grass, you know, chasing after something. I'm sure we're going to see some genet tracks too if we look hard enough. So just like sort of Steve and Brent are looking for leopard and lion tracks, that's why we've popped out here on Central. The sand, as you can see, is quite, some parts it's fine, but it's very easy to leave a mark in the sand. Someone will think that's a snake. And a good one to check when you are looking for footprints. But sadly, we don't seem to be winning. Not just yet. And the light is perfect, absolutely perfect for tracking, casting shadows into the tracks, which kind of illuminates them a little bit better, which is really quite nice to see. I wonder if we go to this junction over here of Vulture's Nest, if we'll find any cool nocturnal tracks. Now, Rebecca, just going back to those elephant tracks, I'll see if I can find another one. No, they've all been driven over now. I suppose, yes, the tracks in an elephant's foot will be unique to each elephant. I don't think they all get given the same kind of tread. So I suppose, yes, it would be like fingerprints then. Of course, it's a very difficult thing to try and do, to try and, well, I suppose take the tread of an elephant's foot and put it to a specific individual, unless they stood right there and off they went. How would you tell the difference between the other? I mean, it's almost like looking for Where's Wally in a book, if you had a book. So I'm pretending I have a book. This is my book with lots and lots and lots of people. You got to find Where's Wally. You'd have to find something so unique for each elephant foot. And if you look at their tread, we will. If we find even fresher tracks, we'll go through it and we'll see if how different the tread looks from another. But we'll save that, Rebecca. We'll save it till we find some more, and then we'll discuss it a little bit further. But I don't think that would be a very good way to try and identify. Come look at this tiny little track in the sand. I think you might have to come here. Now, this is not a fake track, but yes, pangolin. I'll tell you a story now about how I've made fake tracks before. Look how tiny that is. I'm going to put my thumb next to it. What's this on my thumb? Oh, I cut myself. I was bleeding. I won't put my thumb next. I don't think you want to see my bleeding thumb. Anyways, you get the gist of it. It's superimposed, so there's two tracks on top of one another. I need something really fine, like a bit of grass. And there's one track, and then the other one is just underneath it over there too, and it is tiny. I'm going to say that was probably a daker that was walking here, common daker, just a hop, skip and a jump over the road, and we know they are quite active during the early mornings too, so perhaps just out in the open, not wanting to stay around out in the open for too long, but that's really quite cute to see. And then just scurrying off that way into a thicket, I can actually see there's a little animal pathway just going through there, which is probably where that little daker would have run through. Unless it was being chased by something, it would probably run into any thicket and sit down and try and hide away. And so, yes, pangolin track. Not pangolin track, that's the name of a road, just pangolin. I'll tell you quite a cool story. So my old tracker, and I was working down at Sabi Tandy, he was really, really good at making lion tracks in the sand. I don't know if I can do it anymore because it's been a long time since I did it. So the one day we stopped and we decided to have tea and coffee with our guests. It was a bit of a slow morning. So we'd been tracking lions. We could not find these lions anywhere, and everybody was looking for them. So we stopped. We decided, let's have well, we weren't, but the guests were going to have amarula, some hot chocolate, coffee, tea, whatever they liked, a little rusk, which is a twice-baked biscuit. They're delicious with raisins and coconut and all sorts of amazing things in them that you have to dunk into your tea or your coffee, because then they go soft and then you can eat them. Anyway, so Candy wandered off and then came and called me, and he said, and he brought me around, he said, look at these tracks, and I looked at them, and I was like, they look like lion tracks, but I was like, not so sure. And he said, no, he made them. Anyway, so what do we hear while we're, I don't know if I can still do it. I need really soft. No, this is not going to work. When we find some really soft sand back over there, I'll practice during the walk and see if we can make a lion track. Anyways, he'd gone and he'd made these fake lion tracks. I'm going to stand up because I think Seb's legs might be just getting as sore as mine. And went off, carried on, walked back to the car. We were quite a distance away from the car. And we were chatting to the guests, laughing. I think I was playing Bokdrol Spook with the kids. And actually, I still remember exactly which family it was. It was the Courts Pierces of Colorado in Aspen. And so off we go. The next minute we hear a car and we hear chatter. So I quickly run, turn my radio on, and then what do I hear next on the radio? Someone calling in male lion tracks on the road where Tandy had made these fake footprints. We roared with laughter. We didn't even tell anybody the truth. We just carried on. We let everybody then raced into that area. We went somewhere else. It was nice and quiet everywhere else on the property. I think someone eventually realized that someone had, made fake tracks on the ground, and everyone had a good laugh. So it was quite funny. So I'm not particularly good at making those tracks, but my old tracker was phenomenal, and he had a great sense of humor as well. He was constantly trying to catch people out. No, Rebecca, this is not a confession session. Everybody knows about this. I think I may have even told you the story before. Yeah, so no, I was naughty. I was the terrible guide. I was always pranking people. One day, okay, well, I'll tell you the next story. Rebecca in Final Control, remind me to tell you the story about the foam nest frog. I'll tell you that one next because that's my favorite. Anyways, off you go back to Steve. He was off his car looking at tracks. I wonder whose footprints he saw on the sand.
Okay, well, what we have seen in the sand is tracks of a male leopard. See if I can just find it. Someone has driven all over them, so I don't know why they didn't see them. There we go, Senzi. I wonder if you can see that over there. Let me just jump off. There we go. Can you see that, Sands? Is it clear? Is this one a bit clearer? That better. You can see the back pad. There's 3 lobes over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. And you can see how wide the outer toes are. This is the front foot. It's very wide. All the weight, the neck and the shoulders are on the front feet. So a lot of animals generally have a much bigger front foot. And he's walking quite quickly because that's the back foot. There's the front foot. There's the back foot again. So that distance between is indicating speed that animal is walking. And obviously the slower they walk, the closer the back foot will be to the front foot. And so this is quite far in front. So this animal is walking at quite some speed. But these tracks were not seen this morning, but yet someone drove here, so that's a bit disappointing. But we'll continue on and get to the next little junction in the road and see in what direction these tracks are going. So I'm going to, for the first time, say that I think it's probably Hosanna, and that is because this is where we had him yesterday, and James probably left him and lost him right there around Vuyatela Lodge. He's heading back in this direction towards, we're on the Twin Dams Road, so he's heading straight away from Vuyatela Dam. Let's see if we can make any sense of the direction. As long as he keeps walking in the road like that, might make life a little bit easier. But what we do know is that male leopards can cover an enormous distance in an evening, but maybe he's found himself something tasty to eat and he is very close by. That would be marvelous. Haven't seen Hosanna with a kill in some time. Well, he did have that little scrub hair, but that was just a little hors d'oeuvre for him. It was so exciting yesterday, moving through this area here, finding the little chief really was quite special. Okay, well, it looks like Taylor's managed to find some tracks, so let's go over to her and see whose tracks she's found.
Right, we have. Literally, as I was telling you stories, there were leopard tracks on the sand, and these are, I'm going to assume Tandy. The reason why I'm assuming, of course it's a possibility that it's not her, is because we're on Central, quite close to Inyala Road, North and South Junction, and she's been in this area for the last week. So you can see the toes. These look like they're from yesterday, like last night sometime. And there are some others that are going the opposite way, so this track is going this way. There's some other tracks that are also going that way, back towards the junction, which are a little bit more fresh. And, well, we know what Tandy's like, don't we? We've single-handedly watched her lure us round and round and round in circles. I don't know if we're going to find her or not, but we're going to try our absolute best. Let's catch up to Rex, and we're going to keep on the road. The reason why we're just going to stay on this road here is, well, I've seen it now, I can't tell you how many times, where she walks one way and she comes back exactly on the same track that she just walked, which is very confusing. It's not nice. She's not an easy leopard to track. I mean, she's proven it a number of different times, how hard it is, or how difficult she makes it for us, especially if you're not watching what's going on, if you're not there physically examining it. So, you know, I'm watching Rexon. Every now and then he stops. He looks down at the ground and he points in a direction, and he's pointing back towards us, so he's now wondering if she's done another turn, which wouldn't surprise me, and come back the way from which we've just come from. We don't know where the cub is. She could have stashed it anywhere around here. There's many drainage lines that are well suited to hide a young cub, so she's around here somewhere. And you saw the other morning when we got her on foot how she was just sort of standing dead still in the grass, just watching us, just sort of like, I see you. I don't know if you see me. Then she went, okay, you see me. Now I'm not going to take my eyes off of you. But we saw her from quite a nice distance away, and she was fairly comfortable with us too, which is quite nice. I don't know if I'd like to bump into Tandy at close quarters. I think she might be quite sassy, and no one likes a sassy cat, hey? So here's another track that Rex, I just saw, he just circled now. Oh, very, very difficult to see. This looks like a much smaller Tlalamba, hey? Yeah. This is a much smaller track, just confirming with Rexon. I'm going to outline it for you. One toe, one toe, one toe, one toe. And here's the foot here. Now this looks like from this morning, it looks like it's over the top of the dew. The dew hasn't actually settled in on the track. Right, we're going to try and figure out what exactly has happened here in the sand. Off you go to Brent, who has arrived somewhere, somehow. Well, I know, never mind, let's just go to Brent.
There we go. It is absolutely gorgeous. The mist is still sitting around the dam. The hippos are quite buoyant. While they are being quite jovial this morning, there's still a bit of playing going on, a bit of snorting and porpoising. Look at that. It is just absolutely gorgeous here at the moment. Quite nice to just sit and listen to all the different sounds. So I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit. Beautiful. We've got one Egyptian goose here. It doesn't look like it wants the morning to start. So the others have got their heads up. But look at that one. Got his head still tucked in, having a snooze. Doesn't want the day to start. Eyes are open, but really doesn't want to get going like the rest who've started their morning preening and cleaning and getting ready for a busy day by the dam. Even the fish eagle's doing its morning grooming. we go. Morning, fish eagle. Now, since we're looking at a bird of prey, Romit's asking, what bird will be the most destructive on Djuma? Well, in terms of I suppose, strength and ability to take large prey, it would definitely be the martial eagle. But none of the birds are truly destructive when it comes to sort of the ecosystem. Looking for an early morning fish. You can hear all the hippos. Still on the big birds, and James, the raptor with the lowest number of breeding pairs in the whole Greater Kruger is the white-headed vulture. I think that, if I remember correctly, there's only 13 breeding pairs. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a threat display. Not at us, at another hippo. Come on, do it again. Do it again. No? Okay. Nev is challenging us to 10 bird species at the dam. Nev, that's quite an easy one. To be honest, okay, we've already got 2 fish eagles and the Egyptian geese. Where's just below the fish eagles and those big piles of nests there, Dave? There's red-billed buffalo weavers. So if you go, you should be able to see if we look carefully. There we go. I can see some movement there. There we go. Red-billed buffalo weaver. That's 3. Oh, we've got a go-away bird. Where's that go-away bird? He's just up on the top there. Well, there's some lapwings up ahead, so let's go have a look at them. Now, our biggest challenge with actually bird species at the dam is the light. The mist seems to be getting thicker here, and it's creating a bit of a whiteout. But don't worry, Nev. We will get our 10 bird species without too much ado. Okay, lapwings. We're sitting near this Egyptian goose. There's the lapwing down there. African darter as well. Okay, I'm just moving into a spot where we can see both the African darter and the blacksmith lapwing. There's the blacksmith lapwing. Okay, and you see the darter, Dave? On that little pinnacle of land sticking out. What is that now? 4, 5. No, those are still lapwings, David. Still blacksmith lapwings. A little bit to the left. There we go. African darter. What is that? 5 now. Fish eagle, lapwings, darter, Egyptian goose, red-billed buffalo weaver. We haven't even found 2 of the more common residents in the striated or green-backed heron and the little 3-banded plovers. So let's do a little... what's that sitting over there on top of that fallen tree? Is that just a very white branch? It's difficult in this mist. That is a very white branch. Okay, let's just move to this little corner. Often there's some little birds there. The real name of the go-away bird, KB, is the grey go-away bird. So that is its real name. Okay, let's have a look for some little waders here. Oh, no little waders. That's okay. I'll just turn around and go to the other little corner where we see waders. All the herons seem to be out late this morning, or they were out late last night. Okay, let's just turn around quickly. can hear them, but can I see them? Ah, there's another bird. So you see where the lapwings are, Dave? But towards the shore there's one running down. And it is a water thickney. There we go. A water thickney for number 6. And number 7 before it flies away, Dave. You see on top of this little knobthorn here, just inside Chitwa camp, yep. Grey-headed sparrow, is it? Sounds like it. It is. Just difficult in the light. You can hear the call, very sparrow-like. What's that, number 7, Dave? Only 3 more to go. Oh, Birchall starling on top of that tree there. There we go, right top, there we go. Birchall starling. 8, 2 more to go. Oh, I hear a sunbird. Flying, it's flying somewhere though. Okay, let's just turn around and check the top corner of the dam where we didn't... Ah, wait, number 9, grey go-away bird. Those are still Birchall starlings, David. On top of the dead tree, there. Grey go-away birds sunning themselves, number 9. And 1 more to go. I'm actually going to try and look for a difficult one for the last one. I'm not going to go with, unless I have to, of course, but one of the normal dam residents. Let's see if we can find something spectacular on our little trundle down the dam wall. I'm hoping for... Well, we might see a canary, Ross. Yes, they are quite common. Yellow-fronted canary. They would be in this area down here to the left. You can see just behind the dam wall, possibly in the trees and stuff there. And have you seen a bird, Dave? No, you're just trying to trick me. Oh, David. So let's have a look for something unusual here. I'm sure we will. We might even get a little bush shrike or boo-boo behind the dam wall. Stanley, the one thing I'm 100% sure we're not going to see is an African penguin. They like the ocean. We are very far from the ocean. Now, oh, there's a hornbill. I'm not even going to show you a hornbill because it's too easy. Let's try and find something better than a yellow-billed hornbill. Now, I was quite sad when they changed the name of the African penguin, or they changed it to the African penguin, because it used to be called the jackass penguin, because its call sounds very much like a braying donkey. So I liked it when it was called the jackass penguin. Okay. I've got about 3 different species we can go to if we want to, but I'm looking for something special. Something special, David. I've got 4 different species I can go to now. And 5 different species. But what are we going to go for? I'm not saying what they are. We've got hornbills, Cape turtle doves. Well, actually, you know what? Nev, you've put me on a course. I'm going to do a birding morning. Okay, so we'll do all of them. So you see a little one there, Dave? There's number 10 for the dam. And it is, I suppose, a dam species. David, where are you looking? Out a bit to the right. There we go. One of the pretty little dam residents, the 3-banded plover. So that's number 10 for the morning. Okay. Now let's go to the top of that dead tree up ahead of us, the one with the large epiphyte in it. Ah, we got some difficult ones. I'm going to get a bit closer for those. But I'm pretty sure they look like one of the martins. But they can be very tricky, so we want to have a closer look before we call what they are. Could also be one of the dull swallow species. Okay. Let's have a look. They don't often sit nicely like that. They're often on the move. Of course, the majority of the barn swallows or European swallows have made their move. Oh no, they haven't. Some of them are still here. Guys, you're supposed to be visiting England now. No, is it? It's difficult to see in the light. I think the one on the far right is a barn swallow. A late... No, it's not. Is it? This light is tricky. No, it's not. It is not a barn swallow. I was surprised that there would still be a barn swallow around. I thought most of them would have made the move already. Michael, indeed, I'll go have a look at the barn owl nest. Let's try one of the ones in the lower one where the light might be a bit better. There we go, down a bit. So you can see, aha. I think I know what they are. Now, there are some swallows that are not so pretty. Now we've got to look very carefully. So I'm going to spend some time trying to figure out exactly where these are, because I don't want to make a mistake. And it's not often they sit so nicely like this. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Steve, who's been in and out of his vehicle all day.
Yes, in and out of the vehicle indeed. We have found some tracks. I wonder if you can see them, Senzi. Let's just jump over here quickly. Heading along this road here. There's a track there. Not very clear. Definitely the tracks of a male leopard heading this way. Fair bits of rhino dung around. Very good chance that came along and kind of rolled his head inside there. It's a little bit more clearer, that track, but not very easy to see all the way back there. But this is the route we've had Tingana going, Hukumuri, Hosana, Tandy was in this area yesterday. So it's unbelievable how these cats are moving around with each other. And I know for a fact that these tracks are fresh. The scuff marks are just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Not very... Probably from early this morning or late last night. We're going to keep following up on them and see if we can be lucky. Unfortunately, that entire road down there, someone drove over them, so it was difficult to get the idea. So it looks like Brent has got himself another pretty bird. Let's go over to him and see which one.
Well, we're still trying to figure out what the Dell Martins are. And in the meantime, we spotted a beautiful mosque swallow, one of the biggest swallow species. So incredibly pretty. And, oh, they are gorgeous. So we're looking at the martins, which are a type of swallow, but they can be quite difficult to ID. They're still sitting above us here. They're being very kind this morning. Unfortunately, it's the oh no, that is... Do you see red on? That is a barn swallow. Okay, that's not the one we're looking at. So there is a few barn swallows around. Are the others all gone? There's one up there still. That's a juvenile oxpecker. That's a juvenile red-billed oxpecker. They nest in this tree. Oh dear. They have moved before I could figure the mystery. Let's have a look at that knobthorn in the distance there with all the birds on top there. Those look to be a mixture of mostly barn swallows, and getting ready to move on. Now, okay, so they should be leaving shortly, but sure. I mean, I think I'm going to come back down towards the dam when the light's not as harsh and try to figure out what the martins are. I heard we must go to Taylor, who wants to talk about nesting.
Too young for that, Brent. No nesting, thank you very much. What I did want to tell you is, let me give you a very quick update. Okay, so we are on Hyena Road just at the moment. We followed Tandy and Cub's tracks that come off of Central Road. We followed an animal pathway, but the ground was really hard. It was even harder than the stuff we're walking on at the moment, so we couldn't really see many tracks at all. But that animal pathway led us straight to some wallows that are just a little bit south of us now. We just came up onto the road a little bit further to make sure that she didn't come back down the side. Doesn't look like she came here. So we're going to go back to the last tracks now. Perhaps she turned and went further east back towards Inyala Road North. We're not sure, but we're probably going to hop onto another animal pathway that leads us in that direction. So I was going to tell you all a story about foam nest frogs. Remember that? Now, it was quite funny. It was late in the evening. And no, it wasn't late in the evening. It was early in the morning. We were having tea and coffee. So it was summer too. So it must have been a ridiculous time. It's been like 5 a.m. and all the guests had arrived. We'd been up for an hour already. We'd been at the lodge since 4 o'clock. And anyways, chatting. Everybody's having their coffees, having a little croissant and little nibbles and things like that. Anyways, and then I saw one of the guests. It wasn't my guest, but I just used to entertain everybody that was around. Anyone that would listen to me talk. Really? I suppose we're professional nonsense talkers. Remember that. Anyway, so basically at Earth Lodge, they had, it was sort of a very minimalistic type of lodge. There wasn't a lot of decorations everywhere. It was really quite cool, very earthy, as the name suggests. Anyways, and there's like these little boxes that had nothing in them. They were on the walls, but there was a foam nest frog sitting on one, and it was silver, just like the colour of the box, and it was just sitting there very, very still. So I saw a guest taking a picture. So I walked over to her and I said, "Oh, it's pretty amazing, don't you think?" She said, "Yeah, it's beautiful." She goes, "Is it real?" And I was like, "What do you think?" She goes, "Yeah, it looks really, really real." Now, obviously, I'm chatting, and then somebody else that was over listening in came and stirred and listened, and then eventually I had all the guests standing around me with all the other guys just watching, and they were like, "What has Taylor got up her sleeve now?" So I was standing there getting everybody's opinion. I was like, "Okay, before I answer, everybody can have a look. What do you think? Do you think that's real?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, I think it's fake. I think it's fake." And I said, "Well done to all of you that said it's fake. It is fake." And they were like, "What? It looks exactly like a frog. It's amazing." And they sit so still, just sitting so still, wasn't blinking, could barely see a sort of throat moving in and out. And I said, "Well, 3D printing is an amazing thing." I was like, so basically what we've done is we're trying to change up the decorations and sort of the art side of things in the lodge. We obviously want to make it look like the animals come inside, but they don't really come inside. This is a lie, because we've had leopards and wild dogs run through the lodge and all sorts of amazing things. And so I said, so what they've done is they've made these 3D printings of these frogs now, and we just put them on little random things just to get people's reactions. So we got the reaction that we wanted, so thank you very much. And I was like, the amazing thing about 3D printing is that they feel quite realistic too. You can actually touch it and it will feel like a frog. So now everybody's believing me that they're not real, that this thing is fake. And they walk up and this one woman touches it and it then leaps towards the crowd. Oh my goodness. I was in tears. I couldn't breathe, kind of like with the mongoose and the dwarf mongoose sighting, how I was laughing and that. I was crying. All the guys, jumping away, leaping about. Anyways, then everybody was laughing and they were like, "Oh, you got us so good," in all the different accents, because there was a variety of nationalities there. That was quite funny, but that poor frog was terrified. I then picked it back up and put it on its frame. So myself, Brent, Steve, James, Tristan, Jamie, Ralph, we're all professional nonsense talkers, let me tell you that. It's what we do for a living. And so that was one of my favorite things to do, was just see how many guests I could actually catch out. I would tell them I was joking in the end, but I was forever pranking everybody. So for those of you that want me to take you on a safari, perhaps you should think again, because I will do something ridiculous. I always do. Anyways, so like I said, we're going to march back. Rexon has just gone up ahead to check again around some mud wallows, and hopefully we're going to find Tandy and Tlalamba. Now, obviously Steve had some male leopard tracks a little while ago. Been hearing him chatter on the radio. He's still on the hunt. I wonder who's left them behind.
I am trying to find them. They have gone through the exact same sort of drainage area where we were following Tandy, that female leopard, yesterday, and a few days back we followed Tingana through there. The tracks are no longer in the road, so I'm assuming that whoever this individual is has probably taken the exact same pathway through there. So I'm going to go around onto the road on this side called Weaver's Nest and Pangolin, and exactly where we had Tingana and where we lost Tandy yesterday, day before. Romit, the most weird looking track, you want to know? Aardvarks have got pretty strange looking tracks, but then so do pangolins. While we're at it, I might as well just quickly get it out for you and show you an aardvark track. They're very easy to identify when you do find them. Do you hear that? Sense? I heard something sound like an alarm call, but here is pangolin track. Very strange looking track there. That's the back foot, and there's the front foot, those three little toes in the sand. Now, where is an aardvark? Quickly for you. I'm going to keep listening. Ooh, maybe I should look in the back of the book. Aardvark. (102). Very easy to identify when you find them. Aardvark tracks. Sometimes people can confuse. They can see these two toes here, and that's all they see in the sand. It looks very much like a warthog. So you've got to look for this side toe here. That's often not seen, that nail, and that's also often not seen. But the shape of it, it's a lot bigger than you think. 11 centimeters is quite large, but a lot of people see that and they think it's either a kudu or a bush pig or a warthog. So you've got to look further than that in a much larger sort of arc. Okay, well, we're going to carry on. I heard something over there in exactly the same sort of direction where we heard, I believe the tracks of that male leopard are headed. So stay with us. Who knows what might materialize? A whole lot of elephant activity through here. Huge tracks coming through that area we were just on. Another reason why possibly the leopard moved, or why some of the tracks have been sort of obscured. There's no way. The quickest way to disappear or make a leopard tracks disappear is first of all to either drive on it or move a breeding herd of elephants over the area, and very quickly the small little signs that you're looking for disappeared. Okay, well, it looks like Brent has managed to find another bird and he's at its nest. Let's go have a look.
Well, no bird, but the nest we have. So it is the barn owl's nest. There's no activity around it at the moment. I'm trying to remember, who can tell me exactly when Tristan first saw the nest? And we can try to do some maths. They might have even fledged. So let's just have one last look in there, Dave. I thought I saw some movement earlier, but it turned out to be spider webs blowing and glittering in the wind. Now, let's have a... So... Oh, there we go. Oh, nice, Dave. Nice big female golden orb spider. Okay, so I think they might have left already, to be honest. There we go. So there we go. Taylor said she saw them last week and they looked almost like adults. So they only spend about 35 days in the nest, a month, just over a month before they are fledged. So they've probably moved on. Now, I can't see any fresh sign of things going in and out, so it is possible that they have already fledged and moved on. Let's have a look at that spider again. Oh, I love these golden orb spiders. Aren't they beautiful? Now, something else that's stripy but's got no yellow, and I know people have been dying to see, is sitting with Steve.
Yes, they are indeed with us. We've got a small little group of zebra here, and this actually looks like a little bachelor herd of males. They're all quite small. They're all playing a whole lot of games with each other, and it's not uncommon to find bachelor herds of males. They're not fully grown yet, but the easiest way to identify a male and female is if you look underneath the tail. Female's got a very wide, dark G-string, and the males do not. So sometimes you can see the genitals hanging down there. In the case of that one, you can. And what often you'll find with a harem or a herd of zebra, the stallion will always be between you and the herd. And they were moving between each other like that. And when you look closely, they look like they're all young males. And a fully grown male zebra is a lot bigger than that. They probably come all the way from quarantine where we had them this morning. And no doubt they'll be vying for attention and for size and for competition with each other to eventually develop and do their own harem with females, but these guys are still a little bit young, and they're moving straight down the main access road, probably heading back down south. They haven't spent too long in Djuma, and this is the junction I wanted to get out at and have a look for the tracks that would have come through from that side. There we have them, beautiful, beautiful individuals. So nice to see them on Djuma again. They've been very absent, but they're not showing any alarms or any signs of concern. So the residual smell that whatever leopard that's moved through here has probably vanished for now. There's a little bit of a jostling there. There'll be lots of biting and jumping and snapping at each other as they develop their skills of fighting. But as with most bachelor herds, the boys are hanging out for the benefit of the individual. You can see that in a group like that, they're able to have their head down because someone is always watching. On your own, it's a very hard life on your own. You never know who is looking at you through the thick bushes. Zebras have actually got relatively weak backs in comparison to horses. Horses have been bred to do what they do. They probably originated from an animal like a zebra, but genetically they got bred to make taller, stronger animals, and I don't think it's possible to ride a zebra. You probably could if you didn't weigh too much, but you'd have a hard chance getting near one and on its back. They have got absolutely no domestication in them, whereas Western horses or Spanish horses or wherever they might have come from have had humans around for probably 10, 11,000 years, so they're quite well versed with us, and yes, they do need to be broken in, but you would really, really struggle to get anywhere near a zebra to try and ride it. Ravinda, I've never seen an albino zebra. I haven't heard of one in Djuma. So no, I don't know if there are any around. I don't know how well they'll do condition-wise. You know, with no pigment, the albino, they really do burn. Whereas the zebra is really, really well adapted for living out in the hot conditions. The white and the black obviously add the sort of dazzling camouflage that they have, and there's thoughts about the heat conduction. Did you see one in the Mara? Okay. Well, in the Mara, I think conditions are far less harsh than they are here. The temperatures here get really, really hot in the summer months, and to survive as an albino down here would be very, very difficult, I think. But I'm no expert on the matter. Pangolin, what you're seeing there, and this is the plain zebra, also previously known as the Birchall's zebra, and you're seeing the dark stripe, which is the black stripe, you're seeing the white stripe, and then in the middle is that sort of browny sort of shadow stripe, which you're seeing as golden. It's a little bit brown. It's one of the characteristic features of this species. It's called the shadow stripe. So it's basically just the plains zebra that have got them. The other zebra species that I know of, the mountain zebra, are just beautifully black and white. The stripes don't extend all the way onto the belly. They have a more sort of white belly. And the greavies, I think, is bigger, and I don't think they have the shadow stripes. But I don't think I've actually seen one. So the purpose of the shadow stripe, hard to say. Well, let's go from one species with melanin in them to another one. Let's go see what McCurdy's up to.
Well, we've got a bit of a murder going on at the moment, I suppose you could call it. It is some tiny little red ants that I would call safari ants if they were in a kitchen. They're kind of like the ones that come and clean up all the dead cockroaches that are on the ground and don't really bother you and raid your sugar bowls. And these little things seem to be carnivorous, and they've got themselves a little termite. There were actually 2 termites that unfortunately also came to the ants. Let's see, there's the other one. Now, it looks like they've killed them. I don't know if those termites are still trying to struggle, but they were pulling at the antenna, so they was just trying to focus on them. So it can be a little bit difficult. Sometimes the camera doesn't cooperate. There we go. And we'll get it now. Look how they are pulling it around. Look how quickly they're dragging it too. And when they were trying to kill it, they were all on top. They were clamping down with their mandibles. And now they're going to take them away. Oh. Trying to think. I don't know if you can still see them if we rearrange ourselves. Let me just see. So what we've actually done, do you want to see our bush idea on how to make frames steady? I went and collected a log for Sebastian so that he could rest the camera on it. They go under here.